How's it going, everybody? It's Donut, and today we're actually going to cover a card game not called Magic the Gathering. This is Payback. Not a sponsor or anything, but I actually kickstarted this earlier this year, and it finally came in earlier this month in December, and I got a chance to play it on Christmas Eve, and I really, really like this. The tagline of the game was if Mario Kart Uno had a baby, and that's pretty accurate. Kind of like Uno, the object is to get rid of all the cards in your hand, but in here you can sabotage players. It's kind of similar to Uno, but instead of like plus fours in reverse and skips, which there's a skip, but you have some little more different, more interesting little mechanics. In the cards here, one thing I do like about them is how big they are compared to, say, a standard card or a magic card. They're noticeably bigger. And they're nice, pretty thick, but they still shuffle pretty well. And yeah, they're also, I think they're really pretty. And kind of one of the jokes is the game was made in MS Paint, or at least the art was. And here you'll see all the numbered cards. You have a 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1 for being special. We'll cover that in a second. But yeah, in general, these are your cards you're playing with on top of a handful of powerful cards that do special things. And we'll cover those also in a second. But you'll start the game by you'll have 3 cards dealt in front of you face down, then 3 face up in front of you, and then 3 go into your hand, and then you'll take turns playing cards. And the person who has the one or the lowest card in their hand starts, and they'll start by, you'll look at your hand, whatever, say you'll start with the 1. You'll play the 1. Well, then the next player will then have to play either a 1 or a card higher than that, or any of the special cards. So they could play 1 through 10, or, like I said, any of the special cards. And if you notice through the numbered cards, there's just the 4 says 4 under. And the trick to that is that 4 under, the next player has to play either a 4 or under, so they can't play anything above that. But they can also, again, play special cards. Now, whenever you have cards in your hand, if you're not able to play, you can then pick up the pile, or you can take a card from the top of the draw deck, place it over, and if it plays, great. If not, you then have to pick up the pile and that additional card. And once you get all the cards out of your hand played, you can then play the face-up cards. Once your face-up cards are played and you still have no more cards in your hand, you can then blindly play the face-down cards. And to me, that's where it gets a little fun because you don't know what these 3 are, and so when you play them, fun things can happen. It's fun to see someone get lucky or unlucky and all that. And one of the other cool mechanics is if you're down to your face-up cards and you have to pick up the discard pile, you then have to finish playing out your hand now before you can go back to your face down or face up cards. And going over to the special cards here, you have Mirror, which basically takes the turn back to the player who previously played a card. So they have to contend, say, with the card that they played. They played a 10, play a Mirror, they have to deal with the 10 that they placed. Skip, pretty self explanatory. You're skipping a player. Burn is basically you play it onto the discard pile and it completely removes it from the game. Ghost is kind of like a free pass. You play this and you don't have to worry about anything. Just go to the next player, and reset resets the pile to 0. Another thing that can happen is if you play 4 of a number, it counts as a burn, so you immediately burn the pile that way. And so there's a few little neat, little nifty tricks. And like I said, we played with 4 people. Yeah, and we had a lot of fun. We didn't really run into any weird rules quirks. I did realize last night that I was playing with the mirror card incorrectly. I thought for some reason that whoever played the mirror, uh, after it went back to the previous player, they would get skipped, so they didn't have to do 2 turns in a row. But after playing it, there's a online website that's kind of like a test version that I discovered last night, and the mirror works there, and it kind of taught me how it works. So it's some little quirks, but luckily the Facebook group that I'm in, that I've joined from kickstarting the game, has been real helpful as far as the rules go. And of course, with the box, one thing I really like too is not only does it have a magnet latch, I always appreciate that, but the rules are actually also in the box outside of the instruction booklet, as well as a QR code in the box to watch a video on how to play. So again, really neat. And since I kickstarted, I also picked up the 2 expansions. Have not played with them. I may cover these in another video if someone's interested to seeing what they are. Basically, they're just extra cards that you'll get to have access to that radically can change the game. I also kickstarted this version of it, which is the DGen and NSFW version. I will not be covering those on the channel for channel uh, guideline reasons because they're not super. Uh, they're adult. They're not super like bad, gross, or have some sort of like nudity, but there is heavy adult content. I just don't want to post that here. But yeah, again, I really enjoyed this game. It's very light and weight, if you're familiar with that phrasing with board games. It's not super complicated. The rules seem complicated at first, but once you start playing, it's not so bad. I think the youngest player at our table was 13 or 14. It says ages 7 plus, and with a single deck, you can play up to 2 to 6 players. It's a lot of fun. This can be bought on Amazon. I checked it out last night. It's there. I think it's like $25 or something. If you want a fun, what I would see is an upgrade to Uno, a very light, fun party game, I think this is a fantastic choice. As much as I enjoy playing crazy board games, things like Elder Sign or Gloomhaven, which I love both of those. Sometimes it's nice to play something a little more simple. Because I don't like stuff like Face It. I think Face It is the worst game ever. I know that's maybe a hot take. I just don't think it's any good. And Uno's okay, but Skip-Bo, Yahtzee, and stuff like this, I don't mind. So yeah, if you're ever looking for like a new party game to bring to family events or just friend events, maybe look at this one. I don't know if they still have the print and play version available for people. They did during the Kickstarter. You may have to check their website, which it may be listed. Yeah, paybackcardgame.com. You see it on the box back here as well as their social media. Again, this was a really fun game. I'm very glad I kickstarted it, and I'll be playing it in the future. But if y'all want to see the expansion packs covered in a little more depth, let me know, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.